Every generation is lucky enough to witness someone who changes the meaning of greatness. Not someone who simply wins more trophies than everyone else. Not someone who becomes rich or famous, but someone whose story reminds millions of people that impossible dreams are often just dreams waiting for the right person. Lionel Messi is one of those people. Today, his name is recognized in almost every country on earth. His wealth reaches hundreds of millions of dollars. He owns beautiful homes, luxury cars, travels privately, and has built one of the most valuable personal brands in sports history. But none of those things explain why billions of people admire him. Because before the fortune, before the Ballon d'Or trophies, before the packed stadiums, there was simply a little boy from Rosario, Argentina, chasing a football through the streets. He wasn't the tallest. He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't the loudest child in the neighborhood. What he had was something no amount of money could ever buy. An obsession. While other children eventually went home when they became tired, Messi wanted one more touch, one more pass, one more dribble, one more chance to become better than he was yesterday. That habit would eventually become the foundation of one of the greatest careers ever lived. But life rarely gives extraordinary people an easy beginning. When Messi was still a child, doctors diagnosed him with a growth hormone deficiency.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work and what you did as his doctor? We know that Messi was diagnosed with like a growth hormone deficiency. What exactly did you do to make him the best player in the world?
Well, no, I did nothing to make him the best player in the world. I make some things to help him grow. He was harboring a growth issue that you said is growth hormone deficiency. And what I made was practice the diagnosis. You know, there is a kind of schedule when we receive in our office a kid that it's short with short height. We start a kind of diagnosis test. So we move to a diagnosis, because it's not this is not the only cause of growth issues. So we have to discard all issues till we find all causes, till we find which is the cause in each case, and after that we started treatment. So in Leo's case, what I did was arrive to a proper diagnosis that was GHD, and after that he started the proper treatment to correct it, so allow him to grow properly.
Without treatment, his body would struggle to develop normally. The medication was expensive, far beyond what many families could comfortably afford. For most people, this would have sounded like the end of the dream. For the Messi family, it became the beginning of a greater fight. His parents refused to let money decide their son's future. They sacrificed. They searched for the impossible suddenly looked easy. Barcelona took a chance. The beautiful properties, the private aircraft, the global fame. But those rewards only arrived because one family chose courage over fear. Sometimes success. When Lionel Messi arrived in Barcelona, nobody handed him greatness. Talent may open a door, but character decides whether you stay inside. Every single day, Messi trained while the world slept. Every drill mattered. Every mistake became another lesson. Every improvement, no matter how small, became another brick in the foundation he was building. Most people only remember the finished masterpiece. Very few appreciate the thousands of invisible hours that created it. As the years passed, something remarkable began happening. defenders stopped trying to predict what Messi would do. Instead, they simply hoped he wouldn't receive the ball. Because once he did, anything became possible. One defender, two defenders, three defenders. Sometimes entire teams surrounded him, yet somehow he continued moving as if football obeyed different rules whenever he played. Fans weren't simply watching matches anymore. They were witnessing moments that would later become history. Goals that children tried to recreate in school playgrounds, dribbles replayed millions of times, performances discussed for generations. Slowly, Barcelona transformed into one of the greatest football teams the world arrived to. Fame, the kind of fame that follows you into restaurants, the kind that fills airports with cameras, the kind that turns ordinary moments into international headlines. Many people change once the world begins watching them. Success can become intoxicating. Money can create distance. Attention can create arrogance. Yet Messi remained remarkably consistent. He spoke softly. He respected teammates. He celebrated victories with humility. He accepted defeats with dignity. That wasn't weakness. It was discipline. One of the greatest luxuries in life is reaching the top without losing yourself along the way. Children admired his brilliance. Parents admired his character. Coaches admired his intelligence. Even rival supporters often found themselves applauding performances that seemed almost impossible to dislike. Because greatness is powerful. But greatness combined with humility becomes unforgettable. Soon, records began falling one after another. Most goals, most assists, league titles, Champions League trophies, Ballon d'Or, awards. Year after year, Lionel Messi wasn't simply competing against other players. He was redefining what football excellence looked like. But perhaps the most important lesson wasn't found inside the trophies. It was found inside the process. People often ask what separates extraordinary people from everyone else. The answer is rarely talent alone. It's consistency, showing up when nobody is watching, improving when nobody is applauding, continuing when quitting would be easier. That lesson applies far beyond football. Whether you're building a business, raising children, studying for exams, learning a new skill, or trying to create a better future for your family, success almost never arrives overnight. It arrives quietly, one disciplined day at a time. By the time the world finally called Lionel Messi the greatest player alive, he had already spent years becoming that person, because true greatness is never built in front of crowds. It's built in silence, and that silence would soon become worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Tengo pensado hundirme acá tirado y no tengo planeado morirme desangrado y no me pidas que no vuelva a intentar que las cosas vuelvan